So as you can see, I am using Amoroso's rolls. This is what makes this particular bread pudding so Philly, because Amoroso rolls are unique to Philadelphia. They are a Philadelphia staple. And like I'm fond of saying, with any recipe, you start with the bread. If there's bread included, then make sure the bread is delicious. Amoroso rolls are delicious, and they're like a slice of home for me. I love Amoroso rolls because they are a hearty bread. They are chewy, slightly sweet. They're just a good roll. And you really can't get them outside of Philly that much, but I'm happy to have them. And that's what makes this bread pudding. I'm so Philly. Fuck them kids. Bread pudding Jawn. After the bread, the first step I'm going to do is coat my pan with butter. Now, I know you see this old cast iron pan, and you say, well, most people just use a casserole dish. Well, I'm not going to use a casserole dish. I'm going to use this because this has been passed down from my aunt, Jemima, and I am trying to invoke the flavor blessings of my ancestors with this one. This came from Aunt Jemima, and it was passed down to her from her grandmother, Moses, aka Harriet Tubman. So I was going to use a brush, but I'm not going to use a brush. I'm going to just go ahead and put a rubber glove on my hand. I'm going to say to everybody watching, to the dudes watching, if you ain't got rubber gloves at your disposal, you ain't about that life, cooking or otherwise. So I'm just going to take some soft butter and I'm going to butter it up. Just because I don't want to use cooking spray or anything. This is unsalted butter. And because I don't want any extra salt that will throw off the balance of my recipe ingredients. I prefer to use a deep dish other than a casserole dish because, again, this is something I'm trying on my own. This is my own particular recipe, and I want it thicker than it usually comes. And if it rises, I want it to be able to rise. Also, for those who want to know how much bread to use, what I did in my prep cook process when I was cutting the bread, I dumped it in here to make sure that I had enough to fill this up to the capacity that I wanted it to be filled with. So you didn't have to see that, but just know that's how I measured out the bread. Now, I know that I have cut up more bread than I need, but it's always better to have more and not use it than to not have enough and need more. Now that that's done, I will begin my custard mix. Now, my mixer is going to start with several different ingredients. Some people have used ingredients or any combination of these, but this is my particular combination, and that's what I think is going to make this Them Kids Bread Pudding Jawn unique. While most recipes call for milk or some variation of cream or whole cream, I am choosing to go with coconut milk. Although I do have whole cream, and I debated whether or not to go half and half, I'm just going to go whole coconut milk unsweetened because, again, I am going for, in this recipe, I'm going for texture and I'm going for flavor. As I'm trying to make this go as fast as possible, I am going to add the mixtures and put the amounts on the side. First, I'm going to start with 1.5 cups of this coconut milk. And for those interested, that is 12 ounces of milk. Now, again, you can use regular milk, whole milk, whatever kind of milk you want. That is the base. I'm going to start with 4 eggs, which I am going to whisk. Once my eggs are whisked, I'll add them to my coconut milk. Now, I add my other wet ingredients, which is sweetened condensed milk. Now, this calls for sweetened condensed milk because I am trying to replace the sugar amount in it, the raw white sugar. So instead of maybe a cup of sugar, I'm going to use sweetened condensed milk and a half a cup of sugar. These things usually pull like this, but I'm not going to do that because it always has that little rim around it. So I used the can opener so that I could cut it and it would be smooth around the edges and I wouldn't have any leftovers because, yes, I have OCD. And if it calls for 14 ounces, which, by the way, these cans are exactly 14 ounces, I'm going to use 14 ounces. I don't want to leave any amount stuck to the can. It's crazy because I just got these little utensils and they're coming in handy. Every time I see utensils at a store or something, little dollar store, I always grab them because I do little things like this. I'll be in the kitchen. And I'm just going to whisk that all together a little bit. It's starting to look like a custard and smell like a custard, which is good because I'm becoming accustomed to the custard. Okay, into this, I'm going to add 1/3 of a cup of packed light brown sugar. Okay? And along with that, I decided to throw in like a half a cup of white sugar. most recipes call for like a whole cup, but I don't really want it to be that sweet, and I was debating about this. Now, since there are eggs involved, I made sure everything was at room temperature because whether you know it or not, you can cook your eggs if you have like hot ingredients and you get these little pieces of scrambled egg in your ingredients. But also, I just had to warm this butter up so that it's melted, and it's a little warm, but I think with the colder ingredients, it's going to bring it right down to room temperature or below. And this is a half a stick of melted unsalted butter. I'm going to blend it up a little bit. Now I'm going to go with the dry ingredients. I'm using 2 tablespoons of cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of nutmeg. These dry ingredients, they tend to cling to the side of the bowl, which is why I really didn't want to use them. I wanted to mix them first, but it was better. It had a better aesthetic to just put them in like this. And let me go with a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Salt is an activator. It gives you the ability to salivate so that you can taste the other flavors. Okay, now this one is something that I got from a Jamaican mom friend of mine, and she used allspice, 1 tablespoon. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And that is a variety of several savory different spices, but it brings that kind of to it. And again, we go with the vanilla extract, 1 tablespoon. And I put that all in there, and these are all the ingredients for my custard, I think. I'm going to move these to the side so that I can measure out and add my fuck them kids part of the recipe. Now, well, I toyed with the idea of using rum chata in this because it is actually rum with a creamy kind of dairy flavor. And most recipes, a lot of people, you know, when they put alcohol in it, they use Baileys. I am going to use Baileys, but I'm going to use a different kind of Baileys. My Baileys is chocolate Baileys because I just recently discovered chocolate wine, and as soon as I tasted it, I knew that it would be great to incorporate it into a recipe. And this is the first recipe that I'm going to incorporate it in because this is the first recipe that I'm starting with. Now, I'm going to use this. I'm not going to wash it out because it's all going in, but this is my chocolate Baileys. Now, I toyed with the idea, again, of using chocolate chips for texture, but I'm not. I'm just going to use some chocolate flavor. And in this, we're going to use an entire cup. And the second alcoholic ingredient I'm going to use is Bacardi's rum, which is, I'm going to use dark rum, brown rum, however you say it. And this will be 4 ounces, or half a cup. This literally smells like some sort of confection, some sort of dessert already. It smells outstanding. But before I do that, I decided to add some chopped pecans. Now, I've never had bread pudding with pecans in it or any kind of nuts, so this is another first for me. But again, I'm a texture guy. If you don't like nuts, don't add nuts. But if you eat something that I cook, you're going to get these nuts. And I don't want them too big, so I'm just going to break them down. I don't want to bring out the food processor to do this, so I'll just crunch them a little bit like this. And, you know, I'm not going to use very many. Again, it's just a texture thing. But, yeah, I'm going to just crush them like that, and that should be enough. Also, I have my raisins. These are my rum-soaked raisins, which I started with California raisins. Let me see if can you see that. Started with the California raisins. I used golden raisins because, again, I'm trying to be different. Everybody uses regular raisins. And I had these soaked for like an hour or so while I did all the prep. And they're going to be ready to add. And I'm going to add my Amoroso rolls that I diced up. I'm going to just add like some of it, like a layer of it, because again, I want everything to be as even as possible. So as integrated as possible, have like layers to it. So I'm going to add like a nice layer, but then I'm going to put some nuts in this area. And just a little sprinkle. As a matter of fact, I'll add some custard first. So this custard is really thick. I'm not sure you can tell, but it's really thick. I'm really proud of it. I thought the alcohol was going to break it down, but it really didn't. So I'm happy with that. So what I'm going to do is wet it with some of the custard. And again, I don't know how much it's going to take. I just made a really big batch of custard so that hopefully everything could soak in and get wet. I don't know why this is starting to sound, it's just the kind of guy I am. Sounds so explicit, but you know, hey, cooking is sexy, bruh. I'll just add some of the pecans in here so that you don't get some in every bite, but you get some so that you know it's in there. Then I'm going to like fork out some of the rum raisins and do the same thing. Of course, I probably want more raisins in it than pecans, so putting them in the middle is really going to help get them integrated into the recipe. Then I'm coming back with my bread, my second layer of bread, and I guess this will be it. Yeah, I'll put the crumbs in there and everything, so that's just pretty much everything that's going to go in there. I'm going to add the rest of my custard, make sure everything is wet as I can get it, and then I'll just be kind of baking it down. I'll let it soak. I might even pour some off if there's, you know, a lot remaining, because I don't want the bottom to be really extremely wet. But I think that this is legitimately the right amount. As with any dish that you're cooking, I think you have to have the right tool for the job, and this thing right here seems like it is the exact right tool for this job. May do a little, making sure I don't want it to be too smashed, but again, it has eggs in it, and it will probably rise, but I want to make sure everything gets a soaking. That's what she said. And, you know, I don't want any dry portions without flavor in it. Okay, I'm going to go down the side, see what we have here. It smells delicious. It really smells good. All right. Yeah, that's as far as I'm willing to smash it. I'm going to throw some raisins on the top so that it is guaranteed to get some raisins in every slice, every chunk, every hunk. I'm literally going to use all these raisins because I didn't know that I was going to have this much Fuck Some Kids bread pudding. But now that I do, it's going to be a good thing. Let's add some more pecans on top for texture. Again, a lot of people in Louisiana, they use fruit. Like, you can use fruit. I toyed with the idea of using a Granny Smith apple. I actually have it, and now, even though I actually forgot to put it in, I was going to put some in the middle and on the top, and yeah, I'm still going to do that. I'm just going to chop some up and put it on top. Didn't dice them up as small as a food processor would, but it was impromptu since I had forgotten to do it earlier. I wanted some to be in the middle and actually get baked in, but, you know, I wasn't going to go without it. This is about a quarter of an apple, like a quarter of a slice of an apple that I did. I'll try to space them out. And what I'll do is try to get some everywhere. I'll cover this and let it soak for about an hour or 90 minutes so that all the bread is saturated with the custard, and hopefully come back and I'll put it in the oven for minimum of an hour. I'll check it, and I'll use a bath. Well, a lot of you probably saw people like your mom cooking, and they'll take a pan like this and put it when they're baking something in the oven, maybe a dessert or even, you know, chicken. I don't know. Some people use it for different reasons, but the process is called a bain-marie. It's a French process, obviously, or Cajun. I don't know. But what it does is it's called a water bath, and it allows whatever you're cooking to get even heat. Now, I don't think I needed that much with this because it is a cast iron pot, and the great thing about cast iron pots and cast iron frying pans and things like that is that they distribute heat evenly. So, but just because I'm working with a dessert, I'm going to use it, and there's liquid in there, and I want it all to be evenly distributed heat-wise. I don't want any soft spots and burnt spots, so I'm going to use a bain-marie or a water bath with this. And along with that water bath, I will cover it with aluminum foil for maybe the first half hour of baking, because I don't want the top to get to get too crispy when it's baked, because I'm going to be baking it on 350 degrees. So I'm going to use aluminum foil to keep the top from being baked too fast. And probably like halfway through, I'll take this off and allow it to crisp for the remaining cook time. So while the bread pudding is soaking in its custard, I am going to prepare the rum sauce. You see, I'm going to bring this to a low simmer, and to it heat, I am going to add 1/2 stick, 1/2 stick of butter. I dropped the other half. Okay, while that butter is melting, I'm going to bring you up to game. This is called custard powder. Now, unless you're old school or you stay in the kitchen with your grandma or you're from Europe or England, you have never heard of custard powder. What custard powder is a vanilla flavored starch. And in this sauce, it is going to replace an egg. It has a congealing property that brings all your ingredients together. So this rum sauce usually calls for an egg. I did not want to put an egg in it because I was removing the threat of scrambling the egg because these ingredients are hot. So I decided to remove any opportunity for making a mistake by taking out the egg completely and replacing it with 1 ounce of custard powder. To this melted butter, I will add a 1/4 cup of brown sugar, and I will begin stirring immediately. Let me make sure it is turned down because I need low heat on this. As you can see, it melted very quickly. I'm going to stir that up. And to that, I am going to add 1/2 tablespoon of vanilla extract. Okay, keep mixing it up. Make sure I do have some flame on here. I don't want it to cook too fast, but I do want it to cook. Now, again, in this recipe, it also calls for milk, but as I've stated earlier with my bread pudding, I wasn't using milk. I'm using coconut milk, so I'm going to pour my coconut milk in there, and that is 1/2 cup. And I'll continue stirring. Yeah, I must say you have to continue stirring all this, keep the ingredients moving. Also, to this, I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of powdered sugar. And let that dissolve in there. But what I wanted to add is 1 tablespoon of the custard powder. Now, I'm not going to add the custard powder as is because it, like I said, it congeals and it tends to clump. So an old trick that I know to use is to add milk to this, because milk was already in the recipe, and I held some back so that I could mix this up and pour this in pretty much as a liquid. And I'm going to do that right now. I don't want to have any little congealed little lumps because this stuff right here is the cement, the glue that keeps everything together. And it's best to get it mixed before you put it in some sort of liquid so that it disperses. You can see there's some clinging to the side. But overall, I feel like it's pretty good. And yeah, it's mixed in. So I'm going to go ahead and add that to my rum sauce mixture. I'm going to turn the flame up just a little bit. And again, I don't know if you know this, but with any recipe that includes alcohol, the strength of the flavor of the alcohol or the alcohol content is going to be determined by when you put it in. That's what she said. I'm going to put this in last. You could also have put it in earlier, but I don't want to cook away any of the alcoholic elements. I do want it to have an alcoholic twang to it, so I'm just going to stir it in as the last ingredient, and it is a 1/4 cup of dark rum, which is 2 ounces. I'm going to pour that in there and keep stirring. I'm going to turn up my flame a little bit because I'm going to bring this to a boil. I'm just going to keep stirring. This process will take several minutes, so you have to be patient with your stirring and consistent. As you can see, it's gradually thickening up. It is literally turning into a nice sauce, a nice dessert topping. It smells really good too. You can smell the rum and the vanilla. See at the edges starting to congeal. At some point, when it comes to a boil like this, I'll just turn it down, like to very low, almost off, but I'll continue stirring because I want it to thicken up. I want those streaks of rum to mix in. It's not to my thickness. The longer you cook it, the thicker it'll get, of course. And it'll also gain some thickness when it cools down. So I'll turn the flame off and I'm just going to let it cool on its own. So the bread pudding's been soaking over an hour. It's ready to go in. I already have my cookie sheet, my water bath, or my bain-marie ready. And while this goes in, my rum sauce has been cooling for a while. I'm going to go ahead and pour it into the squeeze bottle so that it will be evenly distributed and people can get a nice little coating on it without going crazy or having a heavy hand like I'm sure some people might have. I have these squeeze bottles left over from when I used to do tie-dye. Never really throw any equipment away, so it's being repurposed and put back to use. I wanted to get every drop because this sauce is banging. I was trying to complete this recipe and looking for the proper utensils. Came across this. And this is a gift that I got, I think, for Christmas or my birthday, whatever it was. And I never opened it because I'm always waiting for the right recipe to do stuff. But it seemed like a good time as any to open this up and use it because I plan on going the extra mile with the bread pudding. So I was thinking to myself, why not? I guess she deserves a treat. And she's the one that buys me all this cooking stuff, which is, you know, a hint. She likes it when I cook. So I'm going to pull it out and I'm going to use it. That's what I say all the time. But this time I mean it. Okay, so I'm just going to use this part because what I have planned is an ice cream drink that will go with the main dessert. While I was looking for ingredients for the bread pudding, came across some ranchada that we weren't going to drink. We had for many years. This Patron XO Cafe, which is a coffee flavored liqueur, and some Caribbean coconut rum. And I put them all together into a little shot so that when I mix up the ice cream, if you want a shot, you can get a shot, and I'll just spray it in there. Zoop. Simple, easy, delicious. There's not really that much ice cream left, but I have some Turkey Hill Colombian ice cream. That's why I'm going to have to stretch this. I'm going to take all of it, just put it in there. Okay, I got people walking through my set. Anyway, I'm going to take a shot of this. Let me get this thing hooked up first. Like I said, I've never used this one, but I have used these in the past. Okay, so the bread pudding's been cooking for an hour. I'm going to take it out of the oven. I'm going to test it to see if it's done all the way in the middle, because this is a fairly deep pan and it's usually a shallow dish. Most people use a toothpick, but I have an extra long skewer because I'm trying to get into the heart of the bread. La voila. And I gotta say, when I opened that oven, whew, the fragrance was magnifique. I was really, I knew I was gonna drop one. That's why I had to. So I'm gonna, most people use a toothpick, so I'm gonna see again. It's very wet, but it's coming out dry, so I don't think we have a problem. Let me try to go a little angle. No, that's pretty dry all the way through. It feels solid. I don't feel any tugs. So what I'm gonna do is gonna let this cool for about a half hour, and then I'm gonna serve it. Okay, so it's cooled off, and I am about to start serving it. I think I'll just move this over here. It's still a little warm. I don't know about you, but I've never had warm bread pudding. But I am going to take a hunk out of it. Just, you know. It's still warm. It's wet. I think I'll have some too. That's for Miranda to taste, and I'll taste some too. It's very wet. Do you want rum sauce, honey?
Yes.
This is still warm. So I'm going to do the rum sauce. I'll do some on mine. Okay. Now. Okay. I'm going to try it. Show you the first one. See what she's got. Get some of that rum sauce on there. Should I have gotten a fork?
No.
Is it wet? Is it bad because it's wet?
No.
Okay. What do you think of it? Do you taste any rum, any alcoholic beverages in there?
Yes. This is my first time ever eating.
I can smell it. Oh, it's strong.
Yes, we really.
Well, I like that. You ain't say nothing, but
That's strong, honey.
I got pecan in there. Oh, I ain't mad at that at all. I don't know what you going on with. So, I'm telling you right now, I got me a bit of that chewy bread, and I got like a pecan that didn't break up. Now I'm thinking I should never have broken them up. Yes, sir. I got a winner here.
I taste apples.
I put some apples on top.
Okay.
See, you get a lot of different flavors, and a lot of different textures, and a lot of different tastes. And to me, with that rum sauce on
I
it,
can taste the alcohol.
it's good. Yeah, it stings a little bit,
Yes.
but it got that sting kind of flavor though.
It's good.
Yeah, I think honestly, I think it's excellent, personally, because it is exactly like what I wanted it to be.
It is wet. And then it's like
Yeah, and
crunchy on the outside.
and I'm thinking like if I put it in the refrigerator and let it gellify or congeal, it'll be different. It'll be even a different taste than that. It's actually a little warm right now.
Right.
But yeah. Oh, I'm all right with this. That rum sauce kind of set it off, and I'm gonna go ahead and get the wet part because the bread is still chewy.
I can taste the raisins too.
Mm-hmm.
So what's this here?
That is ice cream coffee drink that I made. Sort of mocha lye.
So I can.
I mean, it's probably frozen because it was in the refrigerator. Y'all waiting for y'all to taste, but you can scoop some out if you dare.
That's strong.
That's right. That's strong. This is the.
I'm not
Honey.
saying that.
Is that strong?
It's strong.
Okay, so I'm gonna need you to say this ain't for kids. Fuck them kids.
It's not for children. I'm not saying that rest of that.
As I thought. See, separately, these would be two separate desserts, but paired together, two flavors. That coffee. Yeah.
So what's in there again?
It's coffee liqueur, coffee ice cream, some coconut rum, and rum chata. That's what's in there. With some ice cream, but yeah. These two pair together like this is an adult dessert.
Yes.
All right, I'm going upstairs and I'm going to enjoy mine.
I don't know if I want to make it upstairs.
Well, you'll make it. You'll be all right. And when you do, make sure you drink all of that. Get ready. You're going to do some stuff up there. You got your rum shot and your bread pudding. Oh, yeah.